Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, November 18th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help you make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. And then real quick, before I get started, I do want to draw your attention to this free live online class that I'm offering on Thursday and want to personally invite you to get signed up. So if you're liking what you see and want to learn more about this tool and how it can be used to help build consistency as a trader, then definitely get signed up. If you're watching on YouTube, then there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, then there's going to be an area right there on the webpage that you can click on. But just keep that in the back of your mind as I go through the video. And if you're liking what you're seeing, then definitely get signed up for the free class. Now, real quickly, before we get started, a couple clarification points. First off, I will be using the 30-minute time frame for all these stocks, meaning if you're new, each one of these candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. Second, the market is still going to be open for a little bit, so you're not crazy. That candle right there is still moving and taking shape because the markets haven't quite closed yet, but they're close, so the overall levels here that I'm going to talk about are still pertaining. But I like to do these when the markets are open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting price action. But first one here, ticker symbol CEI, a pretty well-known one, especially from a couple months ago when it went on a massive uptrend. But after today, volume has come back in, so it becomes a very valid question of, okay, is this the start of something bigger? I mean, you got the volume, you got the very nice price movement, so it becomes a logical question now to be asking, so it's worth at least keeping an eye on. And as far as some of these key levels now moving forward, first level from a support standpoint, going to be right down there around $1.35, so if you like to play pullbacks, $1.35 could be a very valid area to keep an eye on. If you want to be a little bit more high maintenance in terms of your requirements of, well, no, I want to see it pull back even more, then $1.27 could be another area. And then from the overarching point of view, as far as the more so macro support, that's going to be that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. Keyword being moving, so as time goes by, that line's going to move itself higher and higher. And as long as the price stays above that line, as the line itself moves higher and higher, then you have to give the advantage to the bulls and still give them the benefit of the doubt. Even if there is some pullbacks along the way, as long as those pullbacks are staying above that purple line, that's going to be, the truest sign of power. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, key level here that I'm very curious about moving forward now is going to be that trend line right there, which sits up right around, let's call it the $1.53-ish area, give or take a little bit. So keep an eye on that from a resistance standpoint. But all in all, you got to like the movement and momentum today. Next one, PROG, and this is a little tricky to talk about because it depends on perspective. Meaning, if you're saying, Clay, is this a bad or a good-looking chart? Well, I don't know. Are you a day trader that bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 5 minutes? If that was the case, well, then no, the chart looks really, really bad for you. However, if you care about the big picture point of view, then yeah, I understand that from these highs, there has been a large pullback. But again, let's focus on the big picture here. And from the big picture, if you look at where these bases are at, so you have a set of lows right there, you have a set of lows right there, you have lows down here. Then if you envision each one of those as stair steps, well, what do you have? Well, from the big picture perspective, you still do have stair steps progress in the upwards direction. So even with the pullback today, again, from a broader scope of view, the price and the chart is still trending in the upwards direction. So keep that in mind. Is it a bad or good looking chart? Well, that truly just is going to depend on what your game plan and strategy was going into everything. And as far as levels of resistance are concerned, no, if there is going to be any sort of pullback, because you got to admit, yeah, this was a pullback here. So the level that I think a lot of people are going to be watching, and rightfully so, is that trend line right there. So if the price can come up there, get to that trend line, and then break up through it, especially if it's on a higher volume break, then, of course, no guarantees. But for it to make another push up to $6, I think is a very reasonable thought to have. So keep an eye on that as the main area of resistance. But overall, the trend is still perfectly fine. But yeah, if you're a day trader and you bought up there, then yeah, things are not looking good in that situation. Next one here, AMC, and overall, everything is perfectly fine. Yeah, maybe not a hugely explosive day today, but once more, from the big picture point of view, the chart is still continuing to trend upwards. With today's price movement, and you look at, the set of lows that was established right there, and then you do the same thing and start to compare these with previous sets of lows, and you get the idea. Once again, you still do have the overall stair steps going in the upwards direction. So big picture wise, nothing exciting today, but just because something is boring doesn't mean that it's bad. Sometimes, well, you just need to consolidate. You just need to build trends, and that's what's going on here. So that's also what brings about what I would consider, by no means a do or die level of support, but certainly, okay, Clay, what would make this chart look the best moving forward? And definitely if the price can stay above 41.50, because even if the price comes down to that area and, hovers above it, that would still imply that from a bigger picture, you'd still have this big old base right here compared to the previous bases down there, which again are still higher than the previous ones. So in my mind, 41.50, an important area of support. And then as far as areas of resistance are concerned, Continue to watch that trend line right there. In a break of that, especially a high volume break, could very well start to bring back in some momentum. But overall, the trend is fine. Boring day, sure, but that doesn't mean that the trend is broken or anything like that. As long as this thing keeps on putting those higher bases, that is by far what matters most. A common theme that I'm noticing, so I'll keep it very short and to the point because I don't want to just keep repeating myself. But hey, Clay, is this a good or bad looking chart? Well, let me actually squeeze this down some more. Well, I don't know. What was your perspective going in? A day trader buying right there, wanting to sell within 5 minutes, not a good day at all. If you care about the big picture of things, I understand. Big pullback, but you get the idea here, right? You know what I'm going to do next. Let's just look at these bases. You have a base right there. You have bases there. You have a base there. You have bases down here. And if you envision those as stair steps, well, then overall, this stair steps is still progressing in the upwards direction. So yes, LCID, very clearly a very popular, very talked about stock. And it's going to be very confusing because there's going to be some people out there that, oh, the chart looks terrible. Well, yeah, if you have a reference point of a day trader right there, it does look terrible. But if you have a reference point of, no, I care about the broad picture of things, well, then everything is still perfectly fine, even with this pullback. I mean, check it out. That was a big pullback there, but within the grand scheme of things, still turned out to be perfectly fine. So again, it's up to you to determine, I don't know, what was your strategy going in? And that's going to, help kind of set up the framework of, is this a bad or good looking chart? But overall, the trend is still there. Big pullback, sure, but the trend is still intact. Next one, GOEV, and this one's looking pretty sketchy, looking kind of rough here. However, there is an opportunity, and there could be a nice little setup here, and this is all one of these situations where it assumes that you like to play pullbacks, right? If you like to play breakouts, well, then there's not really anything right here. But, as far as, and the other good thing about these pullbacks is at least there's no worry of, I don't know, am I chasing the price? Am I suffering from FOMO, fear of missing out? People that bought right there, they chase the price, and they're definitely paying the price right now. But from an overall standpoint, you do have the pullback. Now, that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to go back up, but at least you don't have to worry about chasing the price or anything of that nature. And there's definitely a couple of very well-defined areas of support now to watch moving forward. First key level right there at the $10 mark. And then after $10, if that can't quite hold up, then as I've talked about in past with past stocks right there, that 50-period moving average is another area that you could watch. So I would definitely consider these the two main areas of support. Now, if somehow the price just crashes down below both those tomorrow, all right, that would be a red flag at that point that something is severely wrong. But as of right now, you got to just still chalk it up as a pullback. To be fair, maybe this is the start of something much worse to the downside, and that's, of course, why risk management matters. But to say that all the chart's totally destroyed, does it look rough? Sure, but is it totally destroyed? No, absolutely not. It's still above 10, still above the 50-period moving average. So let's see if this is ultimately just a pullback that proves to be a very healthy opportunity to buy. Next one, INM, and a very solid technical pattern here. And before I draw the pattern, I don't want to make it seem like I'm the only person in the world that's seen this or that I have some sort of special talent or skill. Absolutely not. I assure you, people that use charts, understand charts, have noticed this pattern. And I say all that because when a lot of people around the world are watching the same things, wondering the same things, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movements. And that's what we have here. So the top part of this pattern is going to be right there at $2.35. And then as far as the support is concerned, going to be right down there around the $1.80 mark. So let's get this changed to represent green and more so the bullish area of the pattern. And then just to make this all the same color. So again, we have that resistance, we have that support, we have the momentum move right there. So this is what would be known as a bull flag pattern. So if you like to play bullish patterns and in particular bull flags, and if you like this price range, then this could definitely be a very valid setup moving forward. Although last 30 minutes here, as we're watching it unfold, not the greatest last 30 minutes, but to be fair, it's not like it's gone down there and violated $1.80. Now, if the price just crashes down through $1.80, okay, at that point, the pattern starts to change a whole lot. But as of now, the pattern is still fully in play. So we'll see how it all plays out tomorrow. But yeah, if this thing can recover back upwards, or who knows? If you're thinking, well, I don't know, I'd like to buy the bottom of the pattern and look for a bounce, I can see that logic too. But overall, bull flag pattern would be the best way to summarize this one. Next one, RIVN. And all right, this one is human. It was starting to look like, okay, maybe this thing just goes up every single day. But chart physics, chart gravity finally caught up to it today and then revealed a very, very now straightforward area of support. And that sits right down there at the 140 mark. And you go back in the history, you can see right there during that little pullback, price found some support. And then, of course, the nastiness today. So a couple of times the price got down around that area and once again held strong. So you better believe that everybody and their brother's uncle is going to be watching $1.40 from longs to shorts, everybody in between, because that has now become a very, very relevant, a very, very valid level that a lot of people will be putting trade plans together around based on both shorts and longs. That's a level that, like I said, it would make sense to be developing trade plans based on that level and how the price behaves if it gets down to that area. As far as areas of resistance, so if there's any sort of bounce that's going to try to occur, main area of resistance right now going to be right there at $154. But overall, again, big picture wise, everything's still perfectly fine. Nothing can go straight up. This base is still higher than that base and that base and that base. You get the idea. Individually, yeah, it's looking a little shaky right now, but that's more so individually in a very micro sense. Looking at more of a macro sense, the trend is still fine. But if that $140 fails, then yeah, at that point, things would definitely start to look more shaky. So we'll see how it goes on Thursday. Next one, AMD, and I'm doing this one for one reason and that one reason alone, and that is this area up here at 154.50. And I'm doing that just because after today's rejection up at that level right there, and then you compare the past history with it both there and there, you know that around the world, everybody and their brother's uncle is going to be watching this level and wondering, okay, that is very clearly the resistance. That's very clearly a breakout level. And as I mentioned earlier, self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. When you have a bunch of people watching the same general area, wondering the same general thing, that can create some very dynamic movements. So am I saying that if the price breaks above 154.50, that the price is for sure guaranteed going to explode? No, I'm not saying that. Am I saying that it's at least plausible? Am I saying it's a logical thought process to have that if the price can recover back up to that area and then get the break of it, that could create a whole new another round of momentum? Absolutely. So that is going to be the key level to watch moving forward. And like I said, literally the only reason I'm doing this because it's AMD, popular stock. Now you have on a popular stock a well-defined level. So let's see if that breakout can happen or not. Next one, PLTR. And unfortunately, a rough day here. For those of you that watched the video from Tuesday, talked about how this bear flag had formed. And while nothing is guaranteed, not shocking at all to see the price eventually just drop right back down through that pattern. So, but the good news is, yeah, the bear flag pattern did ultimately win out, but it's, the price is still hovering above these levels and definitely got another very well-defined level into place here at 22, let's call it 35. You can see right there, held strong. There, 3 candles in a row held strong, and once again held strong there. So like on RVIN, that $140 mark, there's going to be so many people watching 2240. Same with like AMD, right? Everybody watching that one level. Lots and lots of people, longs and shorts, everybody in between going to be watching 2240, and rightfully so, has now become a very well-defined level. If that area does not quite hold up, the next level to keep a close eye on is going to be the low down there at 2215. As far as areas of resistance, in my mind, it's all about that purple line right now, the 50 period moving average. You can see right there, it's already acted as resistance once. So if the price does try to bounce back upwards right there, let's just call it 2285 is going to be that main area of resistance. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, overall, that bear pattern from Tuesday ultimately went out, but we'll see if the price can try to get some sort of bounce or not off 2240. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and another very, very impressive day. And this will mean more to those of you that watch. In fact, let me squeeze this down. Watch past videos I've done on Tesla. But this red line here has been sitting here for quite a while at 1105. And I've talked about that as an area of resistance. And wouldn't you know it, not exact, but price got right up around 1105 and then pulled back. The good news is the price has started to work its way back up there. So like AMD, from a breakout standpoint, and same exact logic of, self-fulfilling prophecy, and while it's not guaranteed, but it's valid to think that it could create some momentum, that there's going to be so many eyeballs, longs and shorts, watching 1105 and saying, all right, is that level going to ultimately hold? Is it going to fail? What exactly is going to go on with that level? So in my mind, right around 1105, and I say right around because, come on, we're talking about $1,100 stock here. It's going to, fluctuate a few dollars in either direction. But generally speaking, 1105 going to be a very, very important level. And then as far as areas of support, in the very near term, if you're like, what would make this chart look the absolute best? Definitely if the price can stay above that level right there at, let's see, what actually is that? 1070. But 1070 is not like a do or die level. More so preferably would be that purple line down there, that 50 period moving average. But overall, like I said, in my opinion, at least the most interesting dynamic and most dynamic in the dynamic that most people are going to be, I think, watching and wondering about 1105. So let's see how it goes on Thursday. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and if you can start to see the power of technical analysis but want to learn more about it and how it can be used, how it can, how it should be used, how it should not be used, but ultimately how it's a great tool to build consistency, then like I said earlier, the class is Thursday, November 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So definitely get signed up for it. If you enjoy these top 10 videos and like this format, then please communicate that to me by doing 2 very easy things. Hit the like button, leave a basic comment below. As long as I know people are enjoying this format, then I have no problem continuing to put in the time and effort to do these. So hit that like button and leave a comment. Could be a smiley face, could be a ticker symbol that you could trade it today. But just a very basic comment and hitting the like button, like I said, communicates to me you enjoy the videos, and I'll just keep on making them as long as I know people are enjoying. So again, definitely get signed up for the free class if you're interested in learning more, and hopefully everybody had a good one. I'll see you back tomorrow.